Hey guys, welcome to Ron's Reactions, episode 32. Dig a little deeper. That's as deep as it gets, boys. So, Holler is here. McSpanky's here.
Sorry, I just
Just
lost
going
it
as
at
deep
the.
as I could. Really lost. Lost me. We're brought to you by Dynasty Theory. They're a proud partner of Dynasty Daddy, and we're sponsored by the Fantasy Football Infinity. Check them all out, like them all, subscribe them. McSpanky, Holler, how goes it?
Oh, it goes, dude. I'm like actually just so glad that you're back because last week I had to do the intro and stuff, and I was like, oh man, I am not as good at this as Ron is. So.
Yep, Ron crushes that. He brings that every week. I'm doing well. Another week. I grabbed myself a Marvin Mims signed jersey last night on Pristine Auction. Bang bang. I'm buying in. Let's go.
Dude, you're all in on the Marvin Mims.
Yeah.
I see that he was listed as the team's starting punt returner.
Not good.
The depth chart, yes.
Did he return punts in college at all? Or is that new? I don't feel like he did he?
I don't think he did in college because he was obviously there.
Because he was good.
Yeah.
WR1,
yeah.
You know?
Well, maybe he did for his first couple of years.
Yeah.
When he was young.
Sure. I'm going to look at
I think,
still a child.
Yeah.
Still a child.
That'll be okay as long as he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, just stay healthy.
Yeah. Yep.
McSpanky, what's new in your world?
Not much, dude. Just playing some DFS, preseason DFS for all of us degenerates out there. Super fun betting on kids who might be on practice squads or bagging groceries in a couple weeks, but it's good times, man. I love it.
You won some money last week, didn't you?
I did win one of the tournaments last week, yeah.
Attaboy.
Big time dollars, wasn't it? Don't say it out loud.
It was.
Just say it was big time.
It was a few buckaroos.
Few buckaroos. That's
just a couple. That allows you to go back in.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. That more free buy-in. Well, should we start me up?
Let's do it, man.
Oh yeah.
Let's start with Holler's guy.
All right. So I mean, there's been some hype about him. I think the biggest thing. So it's Darren Waller is my hot take is he's going to finish as tight end 2, right? And I think that is pretty crazy. But I think the only person that's going to overtake him is Travis Kelce. I think it'll be super close with Mark Andrews. But the reason I'm going with Waller is I just think he's going to dominate the targets in New York. And I think he will finally stay healthy. That's the big one, I think. I wanted to underline that because that's going to be the big one. And then I think he's going to be a huge red zone threat. So I think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. And so I kind of looked back and I was like, well, let's see here. What made him, so good? I remember he had a couple good years. And so 2019 and 2020, back-to-back years over 1,000 yards. And then specifically in 2020, he had 145 targets with 107 receptions and 9 touchdowns, right? So, and he played 16 games that year. So if he can do that same kind of thing, we know how the landscape of tight ends are. I think that would put him in, tight end 2, tight end 3, right? So I'm going with that hot take right there.
I don't think that's too unreasonable, right? I mean, as long as he stays healthy and he plays the full 17 games, even if he misses like 1 or 2, if he plays like 15 games, he wasn't on the field for Vegas the last couple of years, and I think there was some motivation issues there. Now that he's gone, hopefully new change of scenery is a fresh attitude, and like there's not really anyone else there to compete with the targets. Like he's pretty clearly their top target outside of like Saquon.
Absolutely.
Isaiah Hodgins, I like, and he's fine, but he's not like a ball hog by any means.
Isaiah Hodgins. What about Cole Beasley? You scared of Cole?
No.
Darius Slayton?
No.
I mean, Slayton's good, but he's just like a deep threat. He runs his go routes, and he's not going to take away red zone touches, I don't think.
What about the man that's out there torching people like Johnny Storm, Jalen Hyatt?
Now that's fair. That's a good call. I don't know how involved he's going to be in the red zone is the thing with him, because he's real fast, and I don't know how developed his route tree is. And in the end zone, when things are a little bit tighter, you got to be a little crisper on your routes, whereas I think his might be, he needs some development a little bit.
Yeah, and so that's why my call out was really for the red zone, right? I think he's going to be a big red zone threat for Daniel Jones, and I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good year. I don't want to take away too much here. What's going to happen a little bit, but yeah, Daniel Jones is, I think, going to really rely on Darren Waller in the red zone.
The one thing I will say is Daniel Jones is a really good runner, probably a little bit underrated, and so him and Saquon in the red zone, there's a decent chance that those two take most of the touchdowns that you get. But I mean, they still have to throw the ball, right? So I think
exactly. Right, and there's nobody else there. And I was going to say, obviously, they're a run-first offense, so I do think that could take away a little bit. But what really is getting me there is that there's nobody else there. I mean, they have wide receivers, but nobody that's going to take away from in that red zone. And I just think he's going to have a great year.
For sure.
Yes, indeed. Well, Mr. McSpankster, do you want to go next?
I would love to. So my guy here is Justin Fields. What I was going with is he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in terms of points per game. And I thought of this specifically because on last week's Dynasty Theory, or the pivot point, Mitch was just crapping all over Justin Fields. And so I was like, well, I'm going to take the exact opposite take
well
here.
Deserved.
So, but hear me out. So last year, his rushing numbers alone got him almost 11 points per game, 10.82 points per game. That's just his rushing numbers. And now he adds, Darnell Mooney's back. DJ Moore's back in the house. You got, a better passing game. Supposedly all the reviews in camp are he's just glowing. He's developing really nicely. Now, let's just say he goes and gets just league average passing yards and passing touchdowns, which isn't a ton. That's roughly 3,300 passing yards and about 22 touchdowns. Nothing crazy. If you add that on top of his rushing numbers he had last year, and I know that's a little bit dangerous math, but that gets him up to 28.4 points per game, which would have been first in the league last year. So it's not unreasonable that he could take a gigantic step if he just becomes even a league average passer, because he was so bad last year. And I do know the argument of, well, if he becomes more efficient in the pass game, it probably takes away from his rushing game. And I'm that's fair. But I do think that there's enough room for his rushing numbers to go down a little bit and his passing numbers to increase and still put up really good numbers.
I struggle thinking he's going to put up those passing numbers. We've seen his passing struggle, and so I think it's totally doable. I just need to see a little bit more from his passing. So I think it's really gonna the first couple of weeks is going to be a good tell. But I just have a hard time seeing that passing.
Fair, but for context, 3,300 passing yards. If he plays all 17 games, that's less than 200 yards a game. So that's not it's not like he's going out there and just
slinging
the ball around, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't have DJ Moore last year. He was throwing to Chase Claypool, the bad St. Brown brother. It was rough, dude. So he finally has some legitimate NFL receivers, who I think will help cover up for some of his inefficiencies in the pass game.
Yeah, I definitely think DJ Moore will do that for sure. Just outside of DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, they have him, but I don't
Mooney's back
there.
Oh, I don't.
The Moon
Let's
man.
not talk about Cole Kmet.
Yeah, I don't. And
why did they give him that contract?
Yeah, jeez. And then Mooney, we'll see if he can stay healthy. So I worry about the passing. I know he'll get his rushing. So I just worry about that passing to equal up that maybe, I think, 24 to 26 points per game.
Yeah, he only surpassed 200 yards once last year.
That's pretty bad.
Through the air.
That's rough.
See?
But again.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Twice. It was twice.
Okay. So that's not so bad.
He doubled it.
It's he did it twice. All right.
I'm just
once
saying,
is a fluke, twice is a pattern, right?
Listen, twice is a pattern. I don't know. I just think that Ohio State system is so detrimental to these quarterbacks.
Don't scout the helmet,
dude. Listen. He just doesn't see the field. He's a hell of an athlete. He really is. And if he can just halfway get the throw on the ball, we saw it work for Jalen Hurts.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I just gave him just league average passing numbers. Okay. It's not insane. I really don't think it's insane.
Do you have his numbers up there, Ron? How many yards did he pass for last year?
Don't worry
Total
about that.
2,200 yards.
So 22. You see,
but he didn't play the full game though, like the full slate of games. How many games did he play?
Yeah, he missed 1, 2. He missed 2 games.
He missed more than that, didn't he?
So see, making up
no,
1,100.
Something early. Did he leave something early?
No,
I struggle with him
played
making up
more.
that 1,100 yards.
They let him attempt the pass. He was throwing the ball 20 times a game.
I'm
already
counting on
the
an
DJ Moore upgrade,
improved passing, and a better receiving game. Just
Okay.
overall him.
I mean, I love
improving
DJ Moore,
his game.
and you know that I'm in on the DJ Moore and just the volume argument of the whole thing. But maybe DJ Moore just gets all 100 yards that he throws for on a weekly basis.
Man, I don't know.
I don't know. I know.
I just feel like he's going to take a step forward. I think having like competent wide receivers to throw to is going to take him a long way.
Yep. No, I think it's possible.
Yeah. Having one more than none from last year is a pretty good thing.
And Mooney's back. You guys are just crapping all over Darnell Mooney.
Mooney hurt my feelings.
Okay,
I was down.
Dude.
I was in on Mooney just as much as I was in on drafting Sun God late, and Mooney hurt my feelings, and the Sun God made me feel great.
He's the post-hype sleeper. Just wait.
Post-hype sleeper, yeah. I'm waiting 2 years for that now. I was trying to find how bad or what people thought about the Chicago Bears offensive line, because if that hasn't improved,
it's gotten better.
Has it gotten better? Okay.
So I was looking up some numbers because I have a player later, and they're 16th, so right in the middle.
Okay. And do you know what they ranked out at last year, just generally?
It was pretty bad.
Probably about
pretty bad.
Yeah, I know they brought in 1 or 2 guys, so I think it's just last year was like in the 20s, low 20s, so moving up to 16. They're right in the middle, so you know they're all right.
Right in the middle, yeah. We'll see what happens.
So actually, their offensive line scored pretty well on PFF's grades last year. So their run blocking was 6th, and their pass blocking was 16th. So actually, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
but hopefully it's better. Like hopefully it's even better. And
does the run grade? I don't know how they grade that out.
The run grade might be skewed because of Justin Fields.
That's what I was going to ask. Is like
doing crazy
his
stuff by his
athleticism
own.
doing wonders for that rush grade. I don't know how they grade it, so I'm not going to say yes or no. Mr. Fields is going to open the year with Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and Denver.
So that Green Bay game, I think this is the year that the Bears finally, Aaron Rodgers is gone, and they might just beat that bouquet over there.
Yeah. If that happens and he throws
so.
for 250 yards or something, that could be a good tale of what's to come. So I think that's really important. Kind of like I said, it's those first couple games. I'm going to watch and see that passing and see how he does, and then maybe we can come back to this.
I'm buying in, so put it on the record. I legitimately think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback.
He's bought in. He's got him as a top 5 quarterback.
That's going to come back to haunt me. I just know it.
Well, wait till this one comes back to haunt me after all the tweets from today. Russell Wilson doesn't finish the year as the Denver Broncos starter.
I don't hate that. I don't.
Well,
dude, I don't know what to think of Denver and what's going on there. Sean Payton is borderline unhinged with some of his comments. He was talking.
He is not. Oh Lord,
just dumping all over other coaches, and now
Listen,
it's like, dude, I don't
he's
know.
Trying. I heard somebody explain this, and what he's trying to do is he's trying to make Russ not feel so bad about Russ. So Russ can go out there and stop thinking like, dude, I was so terrible last year, because the dude's probably all in his head. Because how Russ thinks so highly of himself. And if the dude is just pooping on himself for all of last year, what's Sean Payton going to do? I'm going to go blame somebody else. You know what, Russ? It was his fault.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You don't have that bad of a effort without it being, everyone's hands are dirty, right? Everyone's hands were in the cookie jar on that one. Yep. Like it wasn't just one person's fault when it's when the results are that bad.
Sure. And when you're out there calling, Seattle's play calls still, and defenses are, they know your tells. Why are you doing that? He also had that office where everybody had to schedule a meeting with Russ to get to talk to him. he wasn't actually, with the rest of the team all the time, which I think rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton's not going to put up with it. And all Sean Payton is going to do is put out Javonte with a running game and say, go ahead, turn around, hand the ball off, and hit a few play action deep shots, just like you did in Seattle. That's why Pete always said, we're not letting Russ cook.
That's because he can't. But what do you think? What do you think it would? What does it look like if Russ gets benched? Right? Like, how late in the season? Like, what does their record have to look like? What are you thinking there?
Jeez, I want to say they have to be out of playoff contention, and they want to see what they can do with Stidham. There's another part of me that, Russ starts doing some weird stuff, and Peyton's like, all right, look, we're done. Like, we're trying to win still. The way they play competitively, in New Orleans always had the fight in them, and they were always near the top of the division. I think that, Peyton's still going to want to be like that, and he's going to try to run the ball down the throats of Kansas City and down the throats of the Chargers and keep those quarterbacks off the field and keep these games close for them. And if Russ starts messing that up, then I think it's over for him.
Yep. So I was looking at some stats from last year, and I think this is not crazy, to be honest, but I think he's going to finish the season. He finished the season last year in the last 3 games. Did throw a lot of interceptions, but he did end the season, all 3 games over 200 yards, which, hey, that's not your normal Russ. But I think that's kind of where he's at now. He's like this mediocre quarterback, nothing crazy. And so he finished with an average of it was 214 or 247, 214, 222, and 283. So probably like an average of 240. And then he had 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, right? And so he only had 16 touchdowns all year. And he had 8 in the last 4 games. So I think he's starting to heat up. I don't know exactly when they fired Hackett, but I just think I think heat up is not a very good term to use, but I just think he was starting to get a little bit better, right? And so I think with Sean Payton, I think he's going to have a mediocre year, and I think he'll be fine. And like you were saying, they're going to run the ball a lot, and I think he will. I would think he will like to buy in.
So I have a question for you guys, and it's more just kind of a wondering out loud kind of deal. Do we think that Sean Payton gets too much credit for what Drew Brees did on the field?
Yes.
Do you think that Bill Belichick gets too much credit for what Tom Brady did on the field?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's kind of my point, because look at what the Patriots have done since Tom left, right? Like they made it to the wild card round once and got blown out by the Bills. I think sometimes these coaches that we look at as oh, these guys are awesome. They get yes, they might be great, but you need the quarterback there. And so Russ is no Drew Brees. Let's just get that straight. No. So I think we might be overweighting the Sean Payton coming back effect on and kind of propping up some of the Broncos rankings.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a mediocre team. I don't think it's going to be any, but I do think if the season goes wrong, right, that division's really good. So it's going to be tough with
It can go wrong real fast.
Yeah, it could. And so I think it's possible. So I don't really think it's this crazy take, because I think if Sean Payton's a new coach there, and I think if he wants to see what else he has in Stidham, and they go and in the first 8 games 2-6, then I think it's totally possible.
Yeah. So they open the season with the Las Vegas Raiders, McSpanky. The Washington Commanders.
That's a dub for the Raiders.
That's a dub for if Jimmy Garoppolo can complete a pass.
Hey.
The Dolphins. Sorry. And the Bears.
So far, I think that might come out to 2-2.
Right? I see 2-2. Yeah. I think Miami is probably going to have their way. And then I think the wins for a meltdown.
Yeah. And so I'm just saying, looking at it, he started to play a lot better in those last 4 games. A lot better in what he was doing prior, so a lot better for him. And so I just think, he'll have another mediocre season, and if it goes awry, then I think I totally see him not finishing.
So, the season. From a fantasy aspect, do you want to have a mediocre season on your roster?
No.
Do you really care to have that on your roster? Okay, I don't.
That's perfect for getting you 4th place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's, no, thank you. Let's move on. Alvin Kamara has been suspended for 3 games, and JMO got suspended for 6 because he placed a bet. Let's think about this. Anyway, NFL,
that's a tough look.
Probably doesn't affect Kamara's value too much. I don't think he was already, devalued as old man, stuck in New Orleans without Sean Payton.
If anything, I think Payton. If anything, I think this might help his value a little bit because I think most people were thinking it was going to be more in the 4 to 6 range, and the fact that it's only 3 games is like it's pretty minimal. I mean, I think a lot of times with running backs, you kind of almost bank on them missing 2 to 3 games anyways, just on injury because running backs get so banged up. So
I think that's kind of what I was going to say. Is I think overall that's just for his value that's solid. I personally was banking on the 4 to 6, and so I think it's going to be this more of the same with him. He puts up solid numbers fantasy wise, and so I think he'll be just fine for another year. If you're a contending team, I still think you should go out and buy him.
Are you afraid of Kareem Hunt coming to town?
Well, that kind of rolls into that next minute, but no, I'm not. I mean, I'm not too worried.
Sure. Kareem Hunt is toast, man. He did not have any juice left last year. I can only imagine it's just worse now. And now he's coming in to try to learn a new offense in either New Orleans or Indianapolis.
Sure.
I just
scared of Kendre Miller.
Actually, yes.
What if Kendre pops off for 3 games and then all of a sudden it's a 3-headed monster with Kendre, Jamal, and Alvin Kamara?
That is worst case scenario. That is not going to be a fun one to deal with.
And I do think Kamara would take the biggest hit, because they're going to use Jamal the way Jamal is used, right? And so I think Kamara would take that hit. But part of me feels like they love Kamara there, and so it's hard. It'll be interesting to see how Kendre does, right? If he does play really well, then they're going to have to use him, and that's going to be really tough for Kamara.
Whichever one of them gets to go on the field on 3rd downs is going to be the one you want because Derek Carr is a check down monster.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Chris Olave is open all the time, so I'll just take him. That's the only part of this offense that I want is Chris Olave, and that's it. End of list. I don't care about Juwan Johnson. I don't care about Jimmy Graham. I don't care about the running backs. Chris Olave can't guard Mike is over.
You don't want Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
No, God. Oh, I wasted so many last round picks on Taysom Hill. Drew Brees' replacement right here, boys. No problem.
I do agree with you though that nobody outside of Olave, but it depends. It'll be interesting to see what Kendre does, and so if he's just mediocre, then I think Kamara is fine for this year. I think he'll be totally fine. We'll put up points, and will be a good flex spot for somebody contending.
I think Jamal Williams is actually going to have like a really good week 1 because I don't think they're going to roll Kendre out right away. And there's no Kamara.
No.
So if you have Jamal, wait until that week 1 game. He's gonna have a good week. See what you can get for him because I think after that it's just gonna be. I think he's kind of the last man standing there. If he's gonna get the leftovers.
Tennessee, they play Tennessee in week 1. Jamal's not gonna do it.
Giddy up, baby. Tennessee's defense is bad, dude.
Oh, don't even start with me. Mike Vrabel's going to have them dudes. It's so freaking.
Where's the game at? Is it in the Superdome?
It is in the Superdome.
Giddy up. Jamal Williams. Let's ride.
I don't know.
DFS right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can go ahead and take those grinding yards between the 20s at 3 yards a clip with Jamal.
And the touchdowns. That's the thing.
So you have to get to the red zone for the touchdowns.
You do.
They'll get there.
And then they'll take Derek Carr out and let Taysom Hill do his thing. And then they can run a wildcat and Jamal can score. It'll be great.
Jamal running the wildcat.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, you guys want to talk your risers?
Let's do it. Holler, why don't you pick one of yours first?
All right. Yeah, so we can go, bang, bang, bang. So I'll just pick one of my guys. My first one is Treylon Burks, right? I think this one is not crazy spicy, but I just think with him getting DeAndre Hopkins, I think that's going to take away some of the pressure, and he'll be seeing the second DB, second cornerback, and so I just think he should be able to have a breakout season, right? And so what I'm kind of thinking is at the end of the year this year, he's ranked around in KeepTradeCut, he's WR30, and then Spanky's rankings, he's WR24, right? So it's not too much of a rise from Spanky's rankings, but I think he'll be top 20, right? And there's some older guys in there that could drop. So I do think Treylon Burks is a guy that he might start a little bit slow. There's some good buzz coming out of camp. They're liking him a lot. And so I just think that is he's a good receiver right now that I think he was on one of my guys to go out and buy. And so I just think he will definitely rise throughout the season, and going into the offseason next season in a startup or something like that, he'll be definitely going, I don't know, we'll see 5th, 6th round, maybe in a top 20 wide receiver, maybe a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I like that. I think I really like Treylon. He, in my wide receiver analytics model, he scored like insanely high. Like he had one of the best profiles that I've ever seen in my model, at least. I think last year he had kind of maybe his work ethic wasn't quite there, and he kind of struggled. He maybe didn't take his conditioning kind of as seriously as you should. He didn't kind of have his body right. But from all what I've heard is that's out the door, right? He came in. It sounds like his conditioning is great. He's focused. His head's there. I think sometimes some of these guys, like they just, especially when they're that athletic, sometimes they just rely on that, like in college and high school, and they don't necessarily put in the time that they need to. And in the NFL, when they get there and everyone's just as good as you are, it takes guys a little bit. And I think this is going to be the year where he puts it together. And I think and DeAndre Hopkins, I think actually is beneficial for him because he's going to see kind of the secondary DBs. Yeah, dude, I like Treylon Burks a lot. I'm pretty bullish on him. I would try to get him, scoop him up anywhere that I can.
Yep, I agree. And I think, I don't know too much on Hopkins, work ethic and things like that, but I do think a veteran like that will help Treylon Burks.
Hopkins, from what I've heard from like different reports, and it's a Twitter reporting from different like NFL GMs, basically said that he doesn't practice, but he shows up on Sundays. So I don't know if he's the best role model for him, but
that's why the Lions didn't want to bring it. Like people kept saying that the Lions should bring him in. The Lions should bring him in. Somebody like flat out said like he's not a Dan Campbell type of guy. He's not going to be out there to practice. He's not going to be. Surprised he's with Vrabel in Tennessee, to be honest with you.
That's why the Patriots never made sense to me either, because I didn't think Belichick's going to put up with that. So
right, like all the BS and stuff. Exactly. He's got a lot of drama. The enemy walks behind you with a knife. Insert tweet here.
He does have a lot of drama. So
he's got some baggage, but and he's a little bit older. I don't think he's quite the same. D-Hop that he once was, but I think he can still get it done. He's just not like an elite wide receiver anymore.
Yeah,
which is fine.
And I personally don't think Treylon Burks is like your number one wide receiver. I think he needs a little bit more. He could be, but I think he's always going to be much better as like a number 2, right? That's why I thought it was crazy that I know that it was kind of part of the trade, but I thought it was kind of crazy to me that they sent AJ Brown away, because that would have been super good, even though that Treylon Burks was, I think, the part of the package that when they traded him away. But I think that would have been
it was straight up.
Yeah.
It was that pick round, but I think that was more they didn't want to pay AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But I think he would always be really good. He's going to be like a really good complement to another wide receiver, is what I'm trying to get at.
I think so as well. I don't think he's the only show in town. That's everybody's kind of been in on this buy Treylon, all off season because of his cheap price. Well, I think it only gets cheaper next year, to be honest with you, because incoming wide receivers are just going to push him down anyway. And unless he has, what you guys are saying, this breakout season, because DeAndre Hopkins has taken everything away, or all the coverage to him, all the coverage to D-Hop. Well, we've also said that D-Hop's not the same D-Hop anymore. Does it take everything to cover D-Hop? I don't know.
I think teams are still going to focus on him, whether he necessarily deserves it or not.
And I think you do say wide receivers coming out next year. I feel like there's only one that is going to be kind of ranked higher than Treylon Burks. Maybe a boot, but I think there's only one that's going to be.
Yeah, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. for sure will be, and then Ibuka probably will be about the same, probably in the same area.
I don't know. I think they're going to get pushed up higher because I think, geez Louise, I feel like Quentin Johnston was in that, like in the Treylon late one range. I don't know. He's still there right now, but we'll talk about him later.
QJ is my boy.
Yeah, well, you need to get off your boy.
All right, Spanky, who you got?
Trey McBride is the first guy I want to talk about here. Trey McBride is unfortunately in a situation where like he plays for the Cardinals and there's just a giant stink on the Cardinals. Nobody wants anything to do with him. He's all the way down at tight end 20 on FantasyCalc. Zach Ertz is old. He's also on the pup list still. Like there's no guarantee he's gonna be back anytime soon. So Trey McBride has all the opportunities there. There's almost no competition for playing time, right? Like I don't even know who their backup tight end is. To be honest, I would have to look that up. And then their receiving core isn't necessarily great. I mean, like outside of Hollywood Brown, and I guess that their rookie Michael Wilson's there, Rondell Moore, depending on how you feel about him. But one of the nice things I saw too when I was doing a little bit of research. So Drew Petzing, he's their new offensive coordinator. He came over from the Browns. He used to be their tight end coach and their quarterback coach. The Browns offense really heavily used the tight ends. And I think Trey McBride, if you guys don't remember, which you probably don't because he played in the Mountain West in college, but Colorado State, dude, he had like 1,000-yard receiving year. Like he was a monster. He was like the offense.
Yeah.
Like, the dude's a monster. I think he's really just getting punished because he plays for the Cardinals and he didn't really do a whole lot his first season. And so people are just like, well, you didn't produce for me right away, so now you're dead to me. I mean, I haven't projected.
Yeah. What have you done for me
to have
lately?
a top 12, top 15 season for tight ends. And I think I have him as my tight end 13. I'll have to double check my rankings, but offhand. So I think he's got nowhere to go but up, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I mean, who knows when Zach Ertz comes back? I think he got injured in the last couple of games of the season last year. So I just think, I think he's a lost cause. And even if he does come back, I know the end of the season when he was out, Trey McBride started to play really well, right? And so I think that's going to be a lot more of that. Even if it doesn't matter who starts at quarterback in the first couple of games, if Kyler misses a few games. And I do think that by the end of the season next year, that Trey McBride will be he should be, especially the top 15. I don't see, some of those guys that are ranked ahead of him. I think he's going to easily surpass those guys.
I think so too. I think everyone sees the jersey he has on and they're just like, oh, I don't want any part of that, which is fair, right? I mean, but
sure.
The counterpoint to that too is, Colt McCoy or Clayton Tune, whoever starts, if they're bad, which they probably are, the offense is probably going to be geared towards, safer, shorter passes, which is just going to benefit Trey McBride and probably James Conner. So
yeah, I don't know.
He's a sneaky one.
I think the stink is very well due. Did you guys see the highlight from camp? The DB taking that ball off the back of his head.
Yeah,
that was something else, man.
That's oh my.
I do know their defense is solid. I mean, Arizona has a solid defense. So
do they?
I think
the new head coach is supposed to.
I think he's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
Yes. His name escapes me right now. And I can't. Jonathan Gannon. I know Austin Fort's the GM. Yeah, and Gannon came from the Eagles and all that. Well, you can platoon out defensive linemen with Philadelphia, and they can just rush the passer for days. What's your defense look like when you don't have all those pass rushers?
Yeah, that's
true. They have their work cut out for them, and they're just on the ride to get Caleb Williams next year.
Yeah, I'm down with Michael Wilson though. I like him as well. I don't think anybody wants Michael Wilson all that much. The hype is building now. He's at wide receiver 83 right now. I don't have much to say. I just threw him in there.
Wide receiver 83, dude. Like, why not? Sure.
I mean, he's he's way taller than both of the other two short stuff guys, and so I think he will carve out some good playing time, and I think he'll be pretty solid this year. I mean, not somebody that's going to be crazy, but WR 83, he will definitely climb up a bit.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Surpass that, get some hype with the quarterback upgrade.
Yep.
Well, what do you got next for us there, Holler?
The next one I have James Cook, right? So This one is going to be a little spicy. So he is RB21 KeepTradeCut and RB22 on Spankies, right? So I know some people are not liking him. I know, but there's nobody else there in running backs wise, and so
Latavius Murray doesn't scare you.
No,
Damian Harris.
Damian Harris does not.
Dude, Latavius just ripped off a 70-yard run today.
Wow.
Did the defense think they had to play off, or what happened there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
maybe
Might
they weren't paying attention.
Maybe it was the third team.
And so I think he takes over the backfield. And I think what really helps him is he can catch passes out of the backfield, right? And that's what that offense is so good, right? And so I think he can maybe sneak into the top 12 for next year because I think some of the older running backs are going to drop. And so I think he'll and maybe overtake some of those other running backs if he has a really good year. And so this one is more of just like a kind of a hot take, I would say, because I had a hard time thinking he'll be top 12, but I wanted to kind of just throw it out there and, I'll be okay if I'm wrong. But I just think, they didn't grab anybody else yet, at least, but I haven't heard much that they're getting anybody. I did hear just a little bit of maybe Dalvin Cook, but he hasn't really been connected with them too much. I don't think that's happening. And so I just really think they have good, think highly of him. And I think he's going to be on the field a lot. Maybe in the red zone, he takes, gets a little bit away, but I think if he does end up getting those touchdowns, I think he'll be able to climb up, and I think he'll be, top 12 to 15.
So I like you taking a shot on your guy, right? Like, I know that was what I was doing with Justin Fields earlier, and it sounds like James Cook might be yours. I have a hard time, and I don't disagree with anything you said about him being, the main guy in the backfield. How valuable is that backfield to have? Like, he doesn't get, like, if he's in the red zone, which is kind of where the high, like, value touches are, right? Josh Allen's taken a lot of those carries. He might dump it off, but he also has, just a ton of weapons to throw to, and he's that offense just kind of spreads the ball around. So I think for James Cook to be successful, he's going to have to kind of win the roulette of he's getting the random like red zone touches, right? But I mean, he's still fighting with like Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox is still there, and apparently, I mean, Josh Allen and Dawson Knox, like, say what you want about Knox, but those two are buddies, right? Like, they have a good connection in the red zone. Stephon Diggs is him, right? And I mean, Gabe Davis is there. Like, I want to buy in on James Cook. Like, I like everything about him. I want to do it. I can't buy in on it because they don't.
Yeah.
The offensive line's built for pass blocking, not run blocking. Their offense really just isn't built to run the ball. And
So my argument to that is I think he's going to catch a lot of balls, right? And so I think he could be, somebody that, doesn't get a ton of rushing yards per se. I mean, maybe gets 40 to 60, but then he could also get another 40 catching, right? But
he's going to DeAndre Swift it.
It's going to be tough because that offense is really good. But what made me really think about him climbing up is above him is on KeepTradeCut is J.K. Dobbins, Zach Charbonnet, Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce, Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, Najee Harris, Rhamondre Stevenson, right? I think 4 or 5 of those guys he can overtake, and that gives him right to RB16.
That's fair. I mean,
he can't overtake, to be honest.
He might rise just based on default, but I do think too, one thing to keep in mind is I think that next year's running back class is really good.
Yeah.
And there might be, he might pass 3 or 4 of those vets, but he might have 3 or 4 rookies come in that push him right back down. So, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that
he has the opportunity, and that's all you can really hope for, right?
So that's kind of where it came from. He's got the opportunity. It'll be interesting to see. And I just think he's got that passing volume that's gonna, help him grab those extra yards, and it will really be, the big thing will be touchdowns. If he doesn't get any touchdowns, then there's no way he's climbing up.
Agreed.
Okay. McSpanky, what you got next?
Yeah, let me talk about Christian Kirk here. So I was actually really surprised to see how low he is. He is wide receiver 38 on FantasyCalc right now, which just seems like just like nuts, right? I get the Calvin Ridley hype. I really do. But I mean, Calvin Ridley, he hasn't played in a year and a half. Supposedly he looks great in camp, and that's awesome, right? I'm super excited for that. But Trevor Lawrence is more than capable of supporting 2 really good wide receivers. I mean, for example, last year, Christian Kirk was a wide receiver 18 in points per game, and Zay Jones was wide receiver 35. So if he supported, Zay Jones as a top 3 wide receiver 3 last year, I can only imagine that Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley, depending on who you think the 1A and 1B is, like they can outdo that. They can beat out Zay Jones for targets, right? I think the offense is continuing to grow. I think Christian Kirk can easily finish as a top 24 wide receiver again this year, and that value has to come up. Like that is just like almost criminal how low he is.
I totally agree, and I personally am not in on Calvin Ridley. I think he's going to be mediocre. I think it's going to be more of Christian Kirk, a lot of the same as last year. As you put, he was WR 18 points per game last year, so top 20. I don't know why he's down at WR 38. That to me is crazy. And so I've seen so many people take Ridley way high in startups this year, and it's just crazy to me. I honestly would take Christian Kirk ahead of him.
He's actually dropped behind Mike Evans to wide receiver 39.
Wow. Yeah, what the heck, dude?
I can't support him behind Mike Evans.
Oh,
yeah, no
dude,
way.
That's ridiculous. Like,
not with Baker Mayfield
directly above him.
to Mike Evans, who's directly above those. Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Jahan Dotson, J-Mo, Deontay.
See, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing, man?
There. Okay.
Yep.
Hey.
Well,
J-Mo will be a superstar. Don't you guys worry about it. We have faith. I got faith in that. Total faith. I can see why Keenan and Amari are ahead of him. They've been their respective wide receiver ones on their team for, feels like forever now since they both come into the league, But yeah, I agree. Like Mike Evans, Jahan Dotson with some wild touchdown luck last year. Who knows if he can repeat that with Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett. Give me Christian Kirk over that. Deontay Johnson and Kenny Pickett throwing him the ball. No thanks. Hollywood Brown is up here at wide receiver 32 with maybe half a quarterback throwing him the ball. Michael Pittman at wide receiver 31. We got to figure out what Anthony Richardson is throwing the ball. Yeah, I don't know. How far up can we go before we're really, Terry McLaurin?
I'd take McLaurin over Christian Kirk, I think, but it's close.
Zay Flowers.
I'd take Kirk over Flowers.
I'd take Kirk over Flowers, yeah. I mean, let's see. I'd take him over Pickens.
Yeah.
Over Godwin, you're going to take?
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ayuk.
No, I'm going to draw the line there.
Line? Okay.
So Ayuk is up at
5.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And Ayuk might be too low, to be honest, but that's another story.
Yeah, he's right below Debo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be reversed.
Agreed. So I got a couple more guys real quick. I got 2 rookies, so I'll just fire those off real quick. One that I think you guys will agree with here is Jonathan Mingo. He's had some buzz coming out. He's down at WR 43, 39 in KeepTradeCut, and 39 in Spankies. I think it will take some time, but I think next year going in, he'll be a top 30 wide receiver. He'll be that.
It's going to take time.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's a rookie, so I just wanted to give him a little bit of time, and I just think there's a lot of great buzz coming out of camp. We take that with a grain of salt, but I think easily next year he'll be in the top 30. And then another one I have is Roschon Johnson. This one is, I put it on there. I was late last night, but I just think he can overtake the backfield. He's only got 2 other guys that are, not very good ahead of him. And so I just think one thing though, when I was diving into this a little bit more, is he has not had much time to be a number 1 running back. He was always behind Bijan. And so I think that will hurt him a little bit. So I just think if he can take over that running back and be at RB1, he's got good size. He's a versatile. And, one thing he does really well that will keep him on the field, he's a solid pass protector. And so I think those three things will keep him on the field, but it's still interesting to see if it really will come to fruition. So that was just a guy I thought that, if he's running back 39 on KeepTradeCut, if he does have any type of good season at all, he's going to be rising.
Yeah, I mean, rookies don't have to do much for their value to at least hold steady, or if not rise. Right. So I can see it. I'm not really sold on them yet, but yeah.
I have one more good one before we can let Ron put his out there. Tua. So one thing I wanted to say to Tua, he's got two awesome wide receivers. That offense is going to be. It was good last year, but what hurt him a lot was injuries. So if he stays healthy, I think he will easily be a top 10 quarterback, right? And so he's QB 13 on KeepTradeCut and QB 10 in Spankings rankings. And what I wanted to kind of point out in KeepTradeCut is that above him right now, all three rookies from this year are ahead of him. Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud are ahead of him, right? He is QB 13, right? So if he puts up a good season and stays healthy, he'll easily jump those guys and be in the should be top 10. And I think that will be the cap right there. He'll be QB 10 because I don't think he's going to get over, or maybe QB 9, because I don't think he's going to climb over Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. Those guys are all solidified. So I think he'll be around QB 9. And I think he's a solid QB1 in fantasy terms.
I love Tua. The only thing that's the knock on him is he just hasn't been able to stay healthy, right? But I mean, when he's on the field, he's awesome. And I think the rookies being above him, that's just probably some rookie fever.
I can't. I don't have it ranked that way. That's for sure.
When I was looking at guys that are going to rise, I looked at that and I was like, wow. So definitely, that's why I picked him, because I think he'll have a good season. I think last year was a little bit crazy with all those concussions he had. So we'll see. Hopefully that offensive line can, protect him a little bit better. I know it's bad. They definitely need to. They definitely need to invest a little bit there. But I really think he's going to rise.
I agree. All right, Ron.
We took those judo classes. Hoo-ha! Anyway, so I got some players I think you should ship off, and I think Quentin Johnston is one of those players. He's sitting up at wide receiver 21. Get him out of here, break him down, just get some stuff for him. I don't know what stuff at the moment, but I think you should just get rid of QJ. I think he's a bit overrated. I didn't like the tape. I don't really care about the opportunity heading into next year. I just kind of don't want QJ on my teams. I think you should. What? Yeah.
I gotta.
We gonna get spicy. Okay,
I gotta cut in. That's the tape at TCU. I think a lot of that can be pointed to. They didn't use him correctly. They also didn't use Kenji Miller correctly. And Max Duggan is not a good quarterback. So
Treylon
I think
Burks didn't get used correctly either. It's going really well for him.
He didn't get used correctly, and now he's in a better situation, I think. But okay, here's the thing with QJ, right? He has probably the quarterback with the best pure arm in the NFL right now, throwing in the ball, and an offensive coordinator that just wants to just chuck it all over the field. There's going to be a ton of volume. It's going to be good targets, not just a pure volume of targets. There's going to be good, accurate targets, and he doesn't have to be great. Defenses have to account for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And so it's kind of who, and then not to mention Austin Eckler out of the backfield is a good receiver. So it's kind of who do you want to beat you? And I imagine they're probably going to say let's let the rookie win. And so he's going to have an opportunity there to really shine. And I think I'm really in on QJ, man. I think
me too.
I love the opportunity. I love the talent there. I think he's good to go, man.
If you have any shares, send them my way, please.
Okay.
You're gonna hate this though. He jumped up the last, I don't know whenever you put this on, but he jumped up. I'm just looking at 30 right
seconds ago.
That's crazy because now he's at QB 19 or QB wide receiver 19.
Holy hell.
That's a little high.
That's a little.
That's what I'm saying. How has he garnered that amount? I don't see that.
The rookies,
all I see
just
is
in general,
dropping.
Yeah.
So
the rookies in general are just kind of arbitrarily high right now. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I don't know if we brought this up, but like, Bijan's RB1, which I actually agree with that one. But then Jahmyr Gibbs is like RB3, which is like,
that is totally fine. Why is that one not fine? Why is
because
Gibbs not fine?
So let's see.
He has like the best offensive line in football.
Let me pull it up.
But he's also splitting with David Montgomery. And he's more of like the pass catcher, less of like the goal line work kind of guy. So I think the hype is just getting out of control on him. I think he's a good running back. I like him. I have him more down in like the running back like 8 or 9 range, which I think is realistic.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it now and I'm like, you know what? That doesn't seem too crazy. So he's above Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, Nick Chubb, and Kenneth Walker, and Josh Jacobs, right? I mean,
the only people not sharing on that list are CMC and Saquon.
Yeah,
everybody else has another back in the backfield with them.
But that's just how the NFL is now, though, man. Like,
right, but that's why I think he can get to running back 3 pretty easily behind those guys, because the other people are sharing as well. So what's the difference between his backfield and somebody else's backfield? Why are you going to say this knocks Gibbs down, but it doesn't, knock Etienne down because he has Tank Bigsby? Doesn't knock, blah, blah, blah. Jonathan Taylor down. Well, Jonathan Taylor doesn't have anybody. But Jonathan Taylor's not even on the dang field right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I was looking at. I was like, that's probably okay, especially because one of them is like Breece Hall. You would think, okay, maybe Breece Hall could be ahead of him. But
I'll take Hall over Gibbs all day.
That's fair.
So, I'm kind of like, 50-50 on that one. I mean, Breece Hall is a really good running back.
But that's Lions fandom.
That's fair.
Shining out.
Fair. So, all right, who else you got there?
Okay, Ron? I think you should sell any of the Packers wide receivers. Just find the Packers fan.
I like that
in your group. I think if Dubs or Reed do anything, especially at their wide receiver 52 and 54 spots, if you can get anything for those guys, and I think you should definitely be looking to pivot off of Watson. As much as I hate Aaron Rodgers, he's a smart quarterback. He knows when to get somebody the ball. Watson's touchdowns come on plays where he just gets to gallop down the field wide open. I don't know that Jordan Love can get them into those situations. I think the brain power, the brain trust has changed, running that offense between Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. And I think Watson suffers for that.
And honestly, I'm pulling up right now, but Watson's numbers came across
4 games.
Yeah. 4 games. Thank you.
I was just looking at 3. It too.
But all came across 4 games.
And 3 touchdowns in the Dallas game.
Yeah. 4 games he had 2 games he had 5 touchdowns of his 7.
And he's wide receiver 19 now, and he came out as a raw prospect. I mean, that's nothing against him, but he's not a wide receiver that's going to come out here and wow us with his route running. So if those explosive plays aren't happening for him, what's he going to do? Nothing.
He needs like
build some repertoire.
A solid quarterback. He's not a wide receiver that's going to bring a quarterback along. He's more of he's going to get pulled along with an elite quarterback.
Yeah. See your MVSs, hit the streaker down the field. That's what MVS did. It's a replacement. I think Rhamondre at running back 13. I mean, the Patriots have all but told us they're bringing somebody in. Rhamondre has said, I want to carry the ball less. I don't want my running back to tell me he wants the ball less. I want the running back to be like, I want every single carry. Why would you ever bring somebody in here and disrespect me like that? And then, Bill's Bill. He can go out here. He can go out here and fumble one time, and one of these other guys are out here pass blocking. Just hold on to Montgomery. The ball. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We got Tony Pollard at running back 11. He's got to be super efficient to hold up to that. And I know he did it last year. Mike McCarthy's calling plays now. I take that for what it's worth. I don't know if that was an Aaron Rodgers problem or a Mike McCarthy problem back in the day, but it wasn't good the last time we saw Mike McCarthy call plays. It's kind of humdrum, bow bum, whatever. I think running back 11's a little bit high for Tony Pollard, for somebody who you couldn't even get a late first for, prior to this season happening, and I don't think anybody's going to want to pay you for what you think he's worth at this point in time. Nobody's paying running back 11 for Tony Pollard. I can tell you that.
And to me, I think he's more of a complement back, right? Like a complimentary back, I think. And so RB11, I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how he does this year, having the full load. I know there's some ties to maybe bringing Zeke back. Zeke's, in my opinion, not going to take too much away from that. But I'm looking forward to see what he can do. I mean, maybe he will do well, and then RB11 is a good spot for him.
How is Tony Pollard's situation any different than Jahmyr Gibbs, who you guys were just like raving about as the potential RB3?
Jahmyr Gibbs is what? Oh, let me see here.
Like,
what's the age
from the situation? I get the age part of it. I think they're about 3 years apart, maybe 4.
Whoa! I was saying he's too high.
I know. Well, I mean, and then you kind of backtracked off it. You said it, and then you kind of walked it back a little bit.
I think he's too high, and I don't think he can handle that workload himself. I think
Jahmyr Gibbs, who has gotten like less work and just in college, is
Jahmyr Gibbs has got David Montgomery to help him out and take that between the tackles work. If you're going to put that on Tony Pollard, he's not.
They have Malik Davis, who's actually pretty.
Who?
Malik Davis.
Who?
All right.
He's struggling to beat out that other guy with the funky name.
Rico
Dwaddle. Yeah, I see them get picked up like every other day, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
Just hoping.
I don't know. Nobody is ever going to pay you for Tony Pollard, and that's why I think this running back 11 is too high. You'll pay me for Tony Pollard?
I will pay you for Tony Pollard. I like Tony Pollard.
There you go. Send QJ to my way and send Tony Pollard Spanky's way.
I will do that.
Let's Holler hit your favorite faller real quick, and then let's head out of here.
Okay, well, this isn't my favorite faller, but this is one that I wanted to bring up because I knew it was going to hurt Ron especially. And so this is twofold. So I do think Kenneth Walker is going to fall a bit, right? He's at running back 10, KeepTradeCut, and running back 6 in Spanky. So I guess maybe this is going to hurt Spanky a bit as well. But I just think, I think they brought in Charbonnet. Charbonnet is, they're both big backs. So I think they're going to kind of split more work. And so I think, in my opinion, Walker's more of that home run hitter. And so I just have a hard time thinking when they bring in another running back that it's going to, happen throughout the whole season again. And he's going to put up the same numbers. And then, I like you made that argument earlier about James Cook. More running backs are coming in. And so I just think he might fall a little bit. And I was thinking about like that 12 to 14 range. He's at RB10. So moving down to RB12 to 14 is not much. But I do think some of that work is going to be taken away from him, from Charbonnet. And I think, honestly, that's not anything against Kenneth Walker. It's more just how Pete Carroll works with his running backs.
It's Pete's fault that he falls. Go ahead, McSpanky.
All I was going to say with that is I don't think he needs the volume to still be a really good fantasy asset because he is a home run hitter. Like he's electric. Like he doesn't need to have, 20 touches a game. Like he can do what he needs to do on like 10 to 14.
Yeah.
Similar to like Alvin Kamara, right? Like he never was like a super high volume guy either.
Or Jahmyr Gibbs.
So I see that, but I just feel like if he's not getting those big, I can see him falling if he's not getting those big, huge runs, and then
he will
big runs don't turn into.
It's what he does. Yeah, that's for sure. And I don't think Charbs is anything, but that's neither here nor there. Jay, your faller, McSpanky. You change it from Jay and McSpanky in here all the time.
Just real quick on here, I was just gonna say CMC. He's running back 2 right now. KeepTradeCut or on FantasyCalc. He's already 27. He's gonna be 28 before the start of the next season. Like I think and this isn't necessarily that I think he's gonna like fall off, but just look at like Derrick Henry, right? Like he's put up consistent RB1 seasons over and over and over again, but he keeps dropping it now. He's down at like running back 15. Yeah. So I think this is less to do about CMC and just more that like, I mean, he's getting older, and if he does get injured, like his value just goes to like the toast. Like these younger guys, if they get injured, you can still find people that want to buy in. Like J.K. Dobbins has been injured his entire career, and people will still buy him. CMC, if he's 28 and coming off like a torn ACL or something, like dude, he's a post toasty.
Yeah, Brees is running back 4 and coming off an ACL, right? So It's just that age, in my opinion, and I agree with this here. He's not like it's kind of the same argument with Kenneth Walker. They're not going to fall that much, but I just think they're going to fall a little bit to where they are right now.
For sure. Should we head out of here, guys?
Let's get on out of here.
That was a fun episode.
See you guys.
That was.
Peace out.
Peace.